going? Morning, YouTube. Tater Streams. It's the day after 4th of July. Just had... Wow, it's been a week. You know? I had a fucking funeral on Wednesday. That was a lot. And then, we just had a wedding today. And then in the middle, we had 4th of July. So... God, America's beautiful. Anyway, today we are going to react to some of the Disney bullshit, I believe. This is, I think it's an Asmon video. So we're going to check it out because I fucking hate that actress from Snow White. I just dislike her. And I think he's going to talk about a lot of the things that, are wrong with what they're doing right now in Disneyland or Hollyweird, and I think it's all a little messed up right now. I'm not really excited for movies. The last thing I saw that I was kind of hyped on was Death of a Unicorn. That was pretty cool. Sinners was good, but I haven't really been doing too much movieing, so we're gonna check this out. We're gonna see what this video is about.
I think that a lot of modern characters are extremely unlikable. Like, this is a huge problem with gaming. I think this is especially true, like, I'm gonna be real, this is especially true with, American games.
I've grown quite worried about the trajectory of what humans perceive as strength. Not only in entertainment media, but even in influencers and perceived role models.
Yeah.
This is a steady decline that has been gradually moving towards shaping the very definition of strength.
Where are the role models that you're supposed to see today? I mean... Is it in movies? Is it in music? Is it in the arts? Is it in YouTube? Are there influencers? I hate to think that people are hoping that influencers are supposed to be role models for kids today. That's a messed up world we live in if that's the case.
Strength. For me, this is actually quite a fascinating topic because of how blind a lot of people are to what is actually happening. Almost as though they know the counterfeit better than the genuine. What do I mean?
They do. Because it's the lack and the absence of positive masculine role models, because any form of masculinity is viewed as either, oh, that's not just masculinity, that's just being a good person, or it's viewed as being bad.
I feel like he's making a good point. I do. There really isn't good masculine roles like out there today. It's society frowns upon masculinity today. Any type of masculinity shown, any type of chivalry is misogynistic or talked about as if it's toxic. And there isn't a good masculine role model. You know what I mean? Like the 80s and the 90s, we had a lot of action stars and stuff like that. We have them today, but I mean, they do things sideways in the background. Like, I mean, The Rock is one of them that's really big, but from what I understand, he mistreats like people on set and whatnot. I mean, there's that Santa Claus movie he just did. I guess he was pissing in bottles while he was on set. Just couldn't be bothered to go to the bathroom, would just urinate everywhere and just leave them all over the place.
This. There is an interesting phenomenon called perceptual expertise that I'll use as an illustration. Okay. Anyone who handles cash on a constant basis, especially in a profession, gain an incredible ability to easily identify counterfeits.
Sure, yeah.
Now, something I find insane about this phenomenon is that it isn't actually taught. It is grown through exposure. Yeah. Bank tellers and cashiers handle genuine banknotes all day. This constant, repeated exposure allows them to develop an intuitive sense of what feels right. The texture...
No, this is true, because like I can smell a Coke and I will know whether it is a Diet Coke, a no sugar Coke, or a regular Coke. All I have to do is smell it. I don't even need to taste it.
I mean, I get his analogy, like it's something he's familiar with. It's something he's constantly around. And, apparently Asmon drinks a lot of Coke. But, I mean, what he's talking about with, like, bank tellers and stuff like that, yeah, they're around money. So, like, your experience of what you're around, what you're familiar with, what you've, like, grown up with, like, shapes how you're familiar with things and you're able to detect what's fake and what's not. I mean, in society today, like if we're talking about economics, like is there an economics class in school? Are people being taught about credit card debt, financial responsibility. I feel like and I like consumerism. I'm a consumer. I consume things, capitalism, America. But I feel like they don't go into it the way they need to in schools to teach kids about what credit is, how you need to have credit, what income to debt ratio is, and stuff like that. So it's stuff that you have to be exposed to. You have to have experience with it, and the more experience you have with it, the more you can detect. Like they're talking about counterfeits as the example. The more you're around, I would just say even people like mentors who are financially responsible, the more you will become in tune to how to be financially responsible and in the end financially free.
You can look at the difference between a Dr. Pepper and a Coke, like just visually. And I can tell just based off of the color of the syrup.
Color, weight, print
kidding.
clarity, and even embedded features of real currency.
Serious.
Over time, they built this mental prototype or baseline of what authentic notes look like. So when a counterfeit does come along, it stands
Over time
out.
and experience.
Not necessarily because the cashier knows exactly what's wrong, but because it doesn't match the baseline they've naturally internalized. Their brain subconsciously flags it as unfamiliar or off.
Weird.
Now you could probably
Their
see where I'm
experience
going
tells
with
them
this. I
that
believe
it's
that a lot
not the
of
same.
modern writers and influencers are more exposed to a counterfeit strength than they are to actual genuine strength. So to them, genuine strength is foreign, and they probably even see it as weakness. Unfortunately, it also seems like this is slowly becoming the norm.
Well, it's becoming the norm, and one of the big reasons why it's the norm is because that's the thing that a lot of kids want. A lot of the people that watch people like Andrew Tate or Sneeko or whatever that are looking for like life advice, these are like lost souls and like weird kids. That's the big issue. And so like you have a bunch of like little weird kids that think that the coolest thing that you can possibly do, because like when you're 14, right? I mean, you're going to think that a guy that has big muscles and he has a fast car that's expensive and he has like a bunch of girlfriends, like that's like it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, no matter where you like grow up, there's always like the person you think has it going on, the guy you think is cool, whether like if you're in poorer neighborhoods, like I know that in my area, at least, like you were cool growing up if you're the guy who was selling drugs. Like the drug dealer was the cool guy. Like he had wads of money. He had tons of people around him. He had girls hanging around him and stuff like that. But that was that environment. My other buddy who grows up down south said you were cool if you were doing the drugs. You were the cool guy if you were abusing them, and that was what people wanted to do. So I mean, it's part of your environment. But like idolizing people you see like on TV who's got tons of money, likability, the houses, the cars. Like if you see that, you're gonna think that's what cool is. And like these influencers, they're putting out there what they think is cool. So I get what he says about being a lost soul, like lost. They're basically grown up. They're kids. They're adults, but they're children. I heard once that guys don't grow up. We just grow old. I don't entirely believe that. I believe that it's part of your environment and who you've been mentored by and who you've hung around with. I mean, you are a product of your environment. The only thing is, I don't think you need to play the victim card because you can change your environment.
And so the real problem isn't necessarily that. It's the fact that all of these things are, I mean, let's be real. Like it's made for kids.
I dive into
so
what
all their viewer base are little kids. I think that there are little kids, and then also for a lot of influencers and like content creators, they are looking for an internet dad or an internet big brother. And that's really what it is, because they don't have like a dad that had, or even like not necessarily a dad specifically, but like a father figure or like a male figure in their life that they.
This is Link, by the way. It's my little boy Link. What are you doing? You want to say hi? Here. Say hi to the camera. All right. You getting out of here? Okay.
Yeah. They can look at and say, okay, this is what it means to be a man. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, am I supposed to look at The Rock and be like, that's what a man looks like? Am I supposed to look at that? Like that's what a man looks like, Then he goes and whines about everything and pees in bottles on set. Like what you see out front isn't the reality most of the time. Like I don't know. I call me traditional, but I believe that it's a man's role to be a caregiver and a caretaker. Like it does, you know, you could think differently. I believe women should be able to do whatever they want and have like the ability to provide for their own family or be a strong, independent woman. If I have a daughter, that's how I want to raise her, as a strong, independent woman. But as a dad, I'm supposed to protect my kids. I'm supposed to provide for them, keep a roof over their head, and like ultimately give them more than I had when I was growing up. That's a man to me.
This modern depiction of strength is, let's look at what genuine strength has always looked like. Throughout history, we see that strength has often been defined as the capacity to endure, to act with integrity under pressure, and to choose what is right even when it costs you. It is a moral and emotional resilience, not the absence of struggle, but the decision to face it. It is also force and power under control. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: you
God, I
have
love
power
Marcus
over
Aurelius.
your mind,
Stoicism.
not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength.
That's right. If you have a problem, stop thinking about it. Most of them go away.
Strength isn't a
Not only that, but I mean, your problems are mostly internal. Mostly internal. I mean, I don't mean always financial problems, because that happens to everybody. Everyone has financial struggles, especially in this day and age. But your problems stem from an internal issue. Change your environment, change a lot of things. I mean, you hear about people who are loaded, unlimited amount of money, who are unhappy. I believe that it comes from seeking within and trying to understand yourself better that will fix that problem in you. Searching for external solutions to an inward problem is not the answer.
about control over people or circumstances. It's about self-mastery, the ability to stay steady when everything else is shaking. The
And
power to
this is another big issue, is that I think that maybe this is like a toxic masculine trait, but I think that stoicism is actually the best way to act. And I think that people that can't control their emotions and get upset and angry randomly, I view them as like childish and like not really worth taking seriously as much. And so when you see a guy like Titus, and that's the reason why Master Chief was so good. Master Chief was the prime pinnacle of stoicism. And you look at like a lot of other characters in like these old stories, is that, and there are emotional moments, and I think that it's important to have those, but the emotional moments don't come at the expense of the character being able to do what they need to do when they have to do it, right?
Yeah, because there are, people who shit and don't get off the pot, and then there's doers. I've had friends who are, doers, who go out and handle shit. You know what I mean? Some people don't have that in them. I don't think I have that in me. Like, there's areas in my life where I'm a doer, but I'm not like my friend was. My friend would be like, I'm going to go dig a path down to the river in my backyard, and I'm going to create a water turbine to create my own energy and electricity at my house so that I can mine Bitcoin. And we're all like, you're crazy, man. That's wild. And then he did it. No fucking around. No, pussyfooting. Just did it. All right, I'm trying to figure out what stoic is, like the actual definition. Stoic. Stoic? Stoic? Because I think I know what it is, but I don't exactly know. Okay, here it is. Stoic refers to both physiological school of thought and attitude or personality trait. Stoic philosophy, Stoicism. Stoicism, an ancient Greek philosophy found in the 3rd century by Zeno of Citrum, or Marcus Aurelius is the guy that was brought up, so we're talking about him. Virtue, living with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline is the highest good. We should focus on only what we can control. We should accept with calm what we cannot control. Emotions shouldn't rule us. Instead, we should use reason to guide our responses. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, former slave turned teacher. And the key idea of Stoicism is you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. So, yeah, I can't control everything that's going on around me. I have no control over everything that happens during my day. I don't have control over the guy cutting me off. I don't have control over my boss being a dick. I don't have control over, somebody passing away. I don't have control over that stuff. What I do have control over is my thoughts and my mind and my reactions. And if I can generate responses, which is less reacting with emotion, less reacting with a quickness, and taking time to calmly respond to what's going on around me, I will have more intuitive thoughts and I will have better direction because I've taken time to calmly just identify what I need to do. And everybody has that ability.
So, like, for example, like in Lord of the Rings, when Aragorn is with like Arwen and Rivendell, yeah, this is an emotional moment. But when he's up face to face with the fucking Nazgul, he's not crying and running away. He's fighting the fucking Nazgul. That's the difference.
Respond instead of react, to remain grounded when your pride wants to escalate, and in a world that tells you to be loud, aggressive, or performative, Marcus flips it. Real strength isn't about bending the world to your will. It's about mastering yourself in the middle of it.
Yeah, because I could do 15 things to get something to go my way, and it may never go my way. I can bend as much as I want to get things where I want them so I can get one thing right. You know what I mean? Like, I could do 10 actions. 10 actions to place myself in a position to get what I want. Selfishly. Ultimately, maybe manipulating to get something. We've all done that. We've all, tried to influence friends or other people to get what we want. I mean, it's a defect that a lot of people have. It's common human nature. But this is talking about just focusing on the problem at hand and taking time to figure it out, Like he brought up Lord of the Rings, like, yeah, when shit's got to get done, doers do.
This is a fundamental understanding that everyone has had about strength for a very long time.
This is again what I was saying before about like characters and like stories being written by obnoxious, annoying people. A lot of characters are written as if they are basically the teenage version of an unpleasant and annoying, like, kind of hipster person that was actually right about everything and their parents were wrong about everything. That's the way that a lot of these stories are written. I think Tosh is a great example of that with Dragon Age.
Many clear examples of game.
Is that the fucking main character of Dragon Age? All I know from Dragon Age is, like, I see the one clip of the girl who's just like, I'm bi, and like just jumps into like saying it. And I feel like that's, reacting with emotion that I don't care if you're bi, gay, straight, or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Like, but there's a calculated way to go and, like, pick a time, pick a place, sit down with the people that, you interact with most or care about most, and explain to them, like, this is me. And then having full confidence in yourself when you say that, and going, you can accept me or you can hate me, but I accept me. This is me. I'm not changing. And I want to be happy with who I am, so I'm not going to lie about it anymore. I mean, or you can just be brash and be like, I'm bi, and kind of fucking pull you out of the whole game. That's how I felt when I saw that.
Games, series, and movies over the last 20 to 30 years of genuine strength. But it feels like there is a shift happening. Some of our favorite characters in the past, whether real or fictional, those who have had a very deep understanding of what genuine strength looks like, wouldn't necessarily even exist nowadays. And if they did exist, they would either be gender swapped or race swapped, or even be made to look pathetic where possible.
Oh, God,
and the
they
characters that
ruined
replace
Skywalker.
them or take their throne are so poorly written that it blows my mind how they even exist. Unfortunately,
It doesn't for me. It's just a bunch of annoying people writing annoying characters. It actually makes perfect sense.
a lot of modern writers simply don't understand genuine strength. Classical writers like J.R.R. Tolkien knew what genuine strength was. They knew that strength has a cost, that it takes something out of you. It doesn't leave you untouched, it leaves scars. It humbles you, it makes you even quieter.
Yeah, I mean, look at the overweight like epidemic in America, and how people treat these overweight people, and they go, "Oh my God, he's so brave. She's so brave," and then they applaud that, and I think bravery would be more along the lines of going like, "Yeah, I acknowledge that there's a problem with myself, and I'm gonna do something about it," instead of just, all right. Sorry about that. My buddy called. He's got power issues going on in his house, and we're trying to figure it out. So, where was I?
And that's the irony. The strongest people are usually the ones that don't even talk about how great or strong they are, because they've lived it, they've bled for it, and they
Lead by
know
example.
it's not a show. This kind of strength isn't
don't
taught.
need to go look at
it's
me.
shaped over time, in moments of choosing silence, restraint, and endurance. It's taught through exposure. It's always incredible and actually somewhat beautiful to see characters and people who suffer or struggle still choose to do good. That's the strength that moves people. That's the strength that transforms people. But this is disappearing. Or worse, it's being replaced by a counterfeit.
Yeah, because they say that tough times make strong men, and strong men make easy times, and easy times make soft men, and soft men make hard times, and the cycle continues on. I think it goes and goes every once in a while, but it fades away even more so with every single generation, because people, hear more cries about people who want to play victim or want to like cry about things that aren't directly affecting them. I mean, and there's a million Karens out there who just want to like police shit that has nothing to do with them, that they don't truly care about, but they want to be out there and be like, look at me, I'm trying to make a problem disappear that I've created.
What is it being
It's
replaced?
being replaced by content that's made for 14-year-olds whose dads are fat and don't know how to do anything and are losers. That's the problem. Is made for and people whose mind is in that place too.
A nation of people on
Or dads don't
disability
exist.
or
Yeah,
on
I mean, well, the thing is,
welfare
like
or
Cody, like we had,
collecting
like for example, like
unemployment.
me and Cody growing up, like there were a lot of like I would say like very positive like male role models that we had in like our neighborhood. It was like Cameron's dad, like I would say my dad, and AJ's dad. Like they were all really solid, right? And that was it. And so, like, it wasn't a big deal. Like, so it's not just like you specifically, right? Yeah, exactly, Cody. Yeah, you remember. And so, like, they were solid. But the problem now is that I think that a lot of cases that's not true anymore.
Yeah, there aren't really a lot of solid dads around. I mean, the divorce rate is up over 50% in America, and the family infrastructure is dying. I relate to what Asmon's saying a lot. Like, my dad is one of my biggest heroes, and not because just because he was my dad, or I mean, as a child I thought he could do anything, but I think the biggest thing that I've noticed now, like as an adult, is how my dad would work his ass off to provide for his family, to provide for his wife, to provide for his 2 children. He would work multiple jobs, and he would do everything he could for us. I mean, we got to take vacations to Florida. We got to go on camping trips. We got to go to like Six Flags and things like that. We got to go everywhere, and we did it all the time. And I mean, look at today. Like, my girlfriend and I both work our asses off, and we're basically just able to afford what we have. How in the world did this man pull this off? How did he take care of 2 children and a wife that was at home and do it on $12 an hour? Ask yourself that question. Could it be done today? Could someone have one working member of the family taking care of 3 others at home? I mean, obviously it's a team effort in any family, but that infrastructure is dead and gone. You don't see that today with people.
It's just straight up not true anymore.
Replaced by narcissism.
Ugh.
What we're calling strength today is often just narcissism in
ego.
disguise. It's
Yep.
not rooted in sacrifice or
No.
humility. It's about ego,
And selfish.
attention,
That's
and
right.
the desperate need to be admired without being challenged.
That's the big one, is the admired without being challenged. That to me is what I think is at the core of a lot of leftist and like a lot of social movements nowadays.
Yeah.
And not just leftist movements, but I think that it's like generally that way. I don't want to make this like super political because I feel like it's also a both sides thing. But
I
it's
agree.
like people want to be admired for, you know, something that is innate within themselves. Like, for example, like I am, you know, this sexuality or I am this gender identity.
But that doesn't define you. That doesn't define you as a person. You know, the small trait about you doesn't define you. Your character, like how you respond to things, how you take care of business, how you do things is, you know, part of what defines you. It's not what you do. It's how you do it. And yeah, that's most people don't want to do anything today.
Or I am this skin color, or I am this other type of, you know, like a group of people. It's unpleasant. It's unpleasant, and I think also it's nothing that's earned. That's the big issue, is that it's not earned.
Modern characters, and let's be honest, many public figures too, aren't strong because they overcome anything. They're strong because the script says so, or because they say so. They don't earn our respect, they demand it. They don't grow, they're written to be right from the start. They're never wrong, never vulnerable, never
they don't
in
adapt,
doubt.
they don't
And if they
change.
are, it's used for 5 seconds of forced relatability before they're back to monologuing about how misunderstood they are. This isn't strength. It's self-worship. You see this constantly. Characters who bulldoze through others emotionally, who never listen, who never compromise, and we're told this is empowerment. But being
They're so fucking humble. They're so humble that they let you know every second how humble they are.
impossible to work with doesn't make you powerful.
It does whenever you're it does whenever you're one of these groups of people and you're trying to get the HR to listen to you. That's the reason. And again, I feel like that's a really good way to say it because it reveals where these people are coming from. It's again people that are empowered by HR. That's it. It's like a, what do you call it? It's like House. Dr. House kind of started this shit. The difference is that Dr. House was very clearly a flawed character. Like that's the difference, is that like he was very good at diagnosing things, but he also like went to jail. He was addicted to things. He was fucked up.
To be flawed is
so
to be
like
human.
House had like, there were positives and negatives with him as a character. But I think, again, people look at that and they ignore the negatives and then they just make a character with those positives and also that same level of confidence, and they create a character that's just unlikable.
There are a lot of people in and throughout history who, you know, for lack of a better term, people perceive as gods or being on this fucking pedestal way up here. But I think we forget that, like, beyond all the great things they've done and contributions they've made, they were humans. They had faults. They had, you know, what's the term I'm trying to think of? Defects. They had defects. No human is born without character defects. We all have them. And sometimes they're used for good, and sometimes we need to grow and we need to change them. We need to amend them.
It just makes you insufferable. Strength has been reduced to this kind of moral untouchability. A person who can't be questioned, corrected, or critiqued because they are the representation of some broader ideal.
That's
but
right.
This is dangerous because it teaches audiences, especially young ones, that personal growth isn't necessary, that virtue is a given, that the world should revolve around you because you're the main character. This obsession with self has hollowed out the archetype of the hero. We used to cheer for really good characters because they gave something up. Now we're just told to cheer because they...
God, every time I see her, I just think about, ugh. She's got a very punchable face, let me put it that way. And the way she treated the tour they did to promote that movie, she just shit all over everything that was Snow White before. And you saw, like, people's reaction in the box office numbers. That movie fucking bombed.
They represent some kind of demographic. The worst
They represent a demographic, a social group, an idea, or some sort of viewpoint that is supposed to be seen as virtuous by the nature of its own existence. And I think that if you create a world where people are virtuous by the nature of their existence, you create a world where narcissism is rewarded. That's basically narcissism.
Nobody was
Most
born
of the
perfect.
audience feels the difference. They don't
Yeah.
always know how to articulate it, but they know something is off. These new, strong characters feel empty. Their victories don't move us. Their pain doesn't shake us. Because deep down, we know strength without selflessness, sacrifice, or love isn't strength at all. It's narcissism. Now, the problem goes deeper than just poor writing. There's now a dangerous trend that if you don't like certain modern characters or even influencers, it's your fault. You
Oh god. The campaign against Avowed reveals the bigotry that fuels the anti-woke. Well, maybe
You made a
should've
bad
used better
game.
fuel.
You made a bad game. You made a bad game. You made a bad movie. You made a bad show. Look at Ironheart. Look at Snow White. Like, you didn't write the truth in these characters. You just tried to promote your own political agendas and your ideologies. And, like, by me saying that, like, the response to those other groups is going to be like, well, you're just racist. Or you're misogynist. Or you're sexist. And it's none of those things. You didn't create an honest, truthful character. You didn't create an honest, truthful story. You didn't create something that, brings out the best in human nature. You promoted something that puts like the worst in it out there, the narcissism.
Yeah, I mean, because as far as I know, that game really didn't make it out of the station. That game's dead, and didn't the person that started the game, didn't they leave the studio? So, and this is the problem, right? Is like the maligning and the slandering of the people who don't fall in line with this line of thinking also doesn't go anywhere either. Because like nobody really likes. It's not like you're not going to bully people into liking something, right?
No.
It's bad millennial writing. Yes, even influencers, 100%. Influencers are actually probably like one of the biggest reasons. Because like games are supposed to be fake. Influencers are like at least perceived by a lot of people that are naive to be real.
Or the
Yeah,
issue.
we go to
you are
movies to escape.
sexist,
We
you
play
are
games to
racist,
escape.
you are homophobic, or you are even transphobic.
Yep.
And this shuts down any honest conversation before it even begins.
Yeah.
This is a huge part of why things aren't actually getting better.
If you can't have a conversation, how can anyone grow? On either side. It doesn't matter what side you're on. If we can't have an honest conversation where we can see both each other's viewpoints, how can either of you grow? I do this constantly with my friends. I disagree with my friends all the time. And then we have conversations, either political charged or race charged or sex charged. Like, we have all these conversations where every time I have a conversation with them, my point of view isn't always completely changed, but I come away with a different perspective, and I understand them better as a person, and I understand myself better as a person, and we both grow from it. And if you can't do that because you just want to label someone transphobic or sexist or misogynistic or racist, I mean, you're the problem. You not wanting to have a conversation and not being able to back up what you're saying with facts, like, and just trying to shut it down. That's the problem. That's real bigotry. That's real. This is annoying me to even like talk about. Let's get through it.
Because now identity is being used as a shield. Writers don't have to build strong characters. They just have to build important ones. Characters who can't be criticized because
and it's also like you have to keep in mind as well that if you write a story about a non-binary person coming to terms with themselves, the odds are that that story isn't going to resonate with a lot of people because there aren't a lot of non-binary people.
Probably not.
So if you make a character that has a divisive or a super minor like social struggle, this just isn't going to be something that people are interested in.
I'll tell you where it did work. The show Billions, the girl Taylor, or them. Taylor was a phenomenal character. A well-written, well-liked. I rooted for them in that show. They were great. But then you have these other half-ass written characters in games and movies that I just can't fucking, like, fall for, man. Like, I don't fall, like, for any of their shit. Like, I don't feel attached to it. I've got no, like, connection to it. And it takes me out of the movie. It takes me out of the game when they do that. But that girl, non-binary person. I still struggle with, correctly saying like the right pronouns. I know that's one of my defects, and I'm willing to work on it. I want someone to feel respected when I talk about them. So I will work on that. But writing a half-ass character or whatever in a game or a movie or a TV show isn't going to get me invested.
Who would have guessed? Yes. Isn't it amazing? Yes.
What they represent, not who they actually are. It's lazy, and more than that, it's disrespectful, both to the audience and to the very groups these characters are supposed to speak for. Because real representation means giving those characters the same depth, struggle, and growth as anyone else, not making them untouchable, narcissistic brats that demand to be liked. You can't.
I think they call that an arc, a character arc in stories, like where they like gradually grow. That's how it's supposed to be. They're not just supposed to be like, oh yeah, I'm perfect and always have been. They have to have some growth.
Can't just hand a
Yeah, I wonder who that's like. Probably the writers.
character a specific shielded identity and a crazy ego and call it strength. That's not how storytelling works. That's not how respect works. And that's not how truth works. One of the more recent examples for this is in the trailer for Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. In a short 4.5-minute trailer, Naughty Dog somehow managed to create an insane
This is, dude.
I haven't seen this yet.
I have never seen a more negative reception to a trailer than this.
We gotta watch it.
I actually think that the original Concord trailer got a better initial reception than Intergalactic. It was brutal.
insanely unlikable character who instantly comes across as extremely arrogant and narcissistic. And
Okay. All right. Intergalactic. Okay. Okay. Is it that bad? Okay. Sony pushing an agenda? Suffering generations must be endured to achieve our divine end. Like graphic quality looks really good. I love a fucking slow zoom out start. And yeah, you could see the clouds and stuff on the planet in the beginning. That was cool. A Porsche? Okay, product placement. And the quality looks really good.
Jordan?
Tell me something good.
Well, you're right, it checks out. He's hiding out around this Imperium moon.
Excellent.
How is that excellent? He's next to fucking Simperia. No one has left that planet in over 600 years. Anyone who even flies close to it is never heard from again.
Superstitions.
No. Superstitions are the crazy rumors about what happened on that planet. These are facts.
You worry too much.
You know what I worry just the right.
Arrogance.
I say we wait for him to leave, or How about we find a new lead? He's not worth it.
Doesn't give a fuck.
I'm wasting my time, aren't I?
Yeah.
Can you please claim him? I don't need another hunter swooping in.
Who is swooping? No one is crazy enough to go there.
He clearly is.
He is clearly desperate.
And so am I, so claim him, or I will find another agent.
Anyone else with all your fucking shit? Okay, alright, you know what? There, you're the boss.
Kamal?
Thank you.
Listen, kid. I'll see you on the other side.
It just seems super arrogant. Is it supposed to come off as badass? Like they ain't never scared? Hell of a lot of product placement, Sony. Oh, that's cool. Decent music. I don't know. Was it hated? Was it disliked a lot? I don't know. They're turned off. Wait, no. This is One Media put this out, so I don't know. Was it terrible? I'm indifferent. The character seems super fucking arrogant, though. I can 100% agree with that.
Yet, they genuinely believe this character is above any criticism simply because of her race and identity. As soon as anyone calls her out as a poorly written character, the blame is flipped onto the viewer, labeling the viewer as racist or homophobic. But it has nothing to do with the race or identity of...
Because I think they're selfish and arrogant, I'm a racist? I must have missed that when we're, supposed to judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. I don't know. Call me crazy. But that character seemed very arrogant, and I don't know. There's a lot of narcissistic defects going on there.
The protagonist.
I think to an extent it does in terms of being able to identify with somebody. Like, it's very obvious that gender and race are barriers to identification, and really incredible and strong characters transcend that.
Yes.
The best example of that, by a mile, is Goku. It doesn't matter what color you are. If you're in 7th grade, who do you want to be when you grow up? If you were in my high school or middle school then, it was Goku. And so, abso-fucking-lutely. But that is again, that is a edge case. I do think that gender and race play a role, but again, you can transcend that if the character is very good.
Comes across as unlikable.
Yeah.
Now, here's where things also get a little bit complicated. I genuinely believe that characters like this are only unlikable to those who have been exposed to genuine strength in their lives. And I can actually see how this sort of character could be likable to those who have not been exposed to genuine strength in their lives. I personally believe that fatherless homes or abusive experiences from individuals that are supposed to represent strength in our lives can create an exposure of counterfeit strength. Obviously,
And that counterfeit strength is like someone being like, you don't know me. You can't judge me. And trauma? Fucking having gone through that you know, whatever. If it was in your childhood, not growing up growing up in a fatherless home, and not having a strong male role model, I guess you could relate to that character. I don't. I mean, is it supposed to be the female Han Solo or?
Life is nuanced, and I personally know quite a few people who have been exposed throughout their lives to this counterfeit strength that do have a healthy view of strength now. But when you grow up without a model of earned, quiet, or steady strength, you can easily mistake loudness for confidence, control for leadership, and arrogance for self-assurance. And
Yeah,
so
I think that's definitely what happens. Manic Kev, 100 subs. Holy shit! Thank you very much. Yeah, we've had a lot of sub gifters today. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. It's actually probably Twitch on alt accounts trying to make it less embarrassing that I made more on Kick than 2 days than I made in a month on Twitch. Probably that's actually probably what's happening. But it's okay. It's okay, guys. Keep it up. I don't mind. And anyway, so I think that especially with content creators, like the arrogance being confidence and like the random acts of aggression being some form of like a emotional control is
false.
just a very huge problem. And I think this is an issue even in society in general, like outside of media, but just in general.
character who steamrolls over others, never listens, never bends, and acts like the world owes them something might actually look strong to someone who's only ever seen power used that way. Making characters like this completely alienates audiences.
Remember that
Not
show?
because
Yeah,
we're
the
hateful
world
or
doesn't owe you
closed-minded, but
shit.
because we're being told to cheer for characters that are poorly written but guilt-wrapped in a protected identity. And if we don't celebrate these characters, we get labeled and called out. But that's not strength. That's trauma with a label on it.
Yep.
And that's
Yeah, that goes back to what I said.
Yeah,
If you grew up in a trauma home, if you grew up in a father's home or had traumatic experience, your identity or what you identify as strength has been skewed. Yeah.
these characters are just trauma. That's yeah, there you go.
the danger. When culture starts celebrating unhealed wounds as empowerment, when fiction becomes a mirror of brokenness
No, you're
rather than a
supposed to
picture
celebrate
of what
growth.
wholeness could look like, we stop aiming upwards and we start settling. We start calling
why
dysfunction
everybody
power,
loves a
not
comeback.
because it is, but because it's all some people have ever known. You can see this play out in real life. Take someone you believe to have narcissistic qualities, whether a public figure or someone in your
God,
personal
I
life.
hate
They could be
all of them.
popular, charismatic,
Who could
and
it be?
quick-witted, sure. But what you're really witnessing more often than not is just ego dressed as strength.
I think that's the case. And also, like, again, a female lead that's is on par with Goku. The difference is that women, I think, identify differently with characters for different reasons. And so, like, and this is another big issue, is that it's the lie that's been told to writers and developers that the same way to, like, how do you write a female character is different than you write a male character. Because men and women are different.
Yeah.
So if you take a male archetype and then you just simply swap it with a female, in a lot of cases, whenever you get into, like, personifying that character, you're going to have issues. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in a lot of cases, like, for example, like with Samus, right? Because, like, there's nothing going on. It's just like a character running around. But in general, men and women are different, and the way that they react to things are different too. So if you have, like, a girl that's reacting to things in the same way that a man would, this is going to not appeal to a lot of
it's
people.
not
and
as
it's going to
identifiable.
be, again, it's going to be uncanny.
It's not as identifiable as if you have a female character reacting or responding with great female strengths. You know, if you had a female character responding with great female strengths and showing those parts of her humanity, I think more women would identify with that. You can't just take a male character and swap it with the female like they do in all these gender swap movies and keep the characters exactly the same as a male character, because women don't identify with it the same way either. It doesn't make sense to do that. Take the strong qualities of a woman and portray them on the screen. You know, look at Ridley from Aliens. That's a badass bitch, and she's very motherly. You know, she takes care of Newt in Aliens. Like, don't fuck around. Don't fuck around and find out with Ridley, dude. She'll fuck you up. Like, she's protecting that little girl.
rarely or never admit when they're wrong. They often talk over others and position themselves as the smartest in the room without actually doing the harder work of listening, learning, or
unrealistic, yeah.
sacrificing. That's not strength. That's a performance of a false perception of strength. And for a lot of young people, especially those without real mentors, that kind
when
of
they're
performance
challenged,
can be convincing.
they fall
Because
flat
if
on
you've
their
never
face.
or rarely seen genuine strength in your life, the kind that leads by example, that serves others, that admits failure, that shows genuine humility, then the counterfeit could look strong. C.S.
course.
Lewis once said, "We make men without chests and expect them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst." In other
Jesus, bro, that's rough. That's a lot. Damn.
Wolves in sheep's clothing.
words, we strip away the soul of
Glass
real
houses.
strength, the virtue,
Yeah.
the responsibility, the self-mastery. We laugh and mock the real thing when it is displayed, and then we're surprised when the people we elevate as heroes don't act like heroes at all. When we confuse narcissism for strength, we don't just warp our stories, we warp our expectations of ourselves and each other. People start performing instead of growing. They protect their image instead of building character.
Well,
They
even,
become
even having expectations in other people is a waste of time. You know, whether you're amazing friends with them or it's someone off the street, like how holding someone to your expectation is, you know, just a timer for you to be let down.
I'm addicted to being right instead of learning how to be wise. And
This
the
is a big issue that happens on social media. It's a huge problem. Is like people worry constantly about like how they're seen on social media. And I think that they're afraid of being disliked so much. And I think the reason why it happens is because
Rather be hated for who I am than liked for who I'm not. Kurt Cobain.
maybe this is like just me being an asshole, but I think it's probably because they were losers in high school and they didn't have that many friends. And so like they were like super insecure about something. Because like a lot of the people that I know that are kind of like that, they were kind of just losers, right? Like people didn't really like them. And so like now they finally got in a position where they are liked and people do think they're cool. And this is like the first time in their life. And so it's like a really big deal for them. Like, oh my God, like, wow, like now I'm this guy, you know, and that's it. Yeah. Small pee-pee syndrome. Well, it's like they're almost like making up for lost time. You know, they're pretending to be this type of person now to overcompensate from the fact that they were not this person when, you know, again, and what is that? That's, again, trauma, right? Trauma, again, like for
It's
at
a
least like me
mask.
and a lot of my friends that I know.
Using the trauma
like,
as a
you know,
mask.
I wasn't like the most popular guy in high school, right? I mean, I wasn't really not either. I was just a guy. I had friends and everything was great, right? Everything was good. And so, like, I didn't really have that issue. So, like, you're not going into this with a chip on your shoulder. Like, obviously, everybody wants to be seen as right. Everybody wants to be seen as a good guy.
Yeah, that's human nature. It's human instinct to want to have like these social securities or financial securities or emotional securities. That's human nature to want that. I mean, when we start lying and believing the lies, when it becomes a problem, and when other people start, you know, saluting the lie or embracing it or uplifting the lie, you get a society built on lies and not facts, and then you get a bunch of weak people. You get a bunch of people who don't have the right qualities. They don't have the right virtues. It's a bunch of people running around with defects, being assholes, saying, "Ain't I great? Ain't I awesome? Ain't I so humble?" Yeah.
Of course, but like the desire and the need for it, I think does drive a lot of effectively what is mental illness.
Yeah.
The
There it
worst
is.
part, they start to believe that vulnerability is weakness, that empathy is a flaw, that asking for help is a failure. Real strength doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need a platform. It grows in silence through trial. And something you become, not something you declare. So the question becomes, what kind of strength are we trying to build in ourselves?
Exactly. It's real strength comes from within, and working out these real internal problems, you know, and not. That's why so many people are lost, looking for external solutions to these internal problems.
And what kind of strength are we celebrating in others? Because if we don't know the difference, we'll keep clapping for the counterfeits while the real thing quietly slips away. So let's come back to the real thing. Real strength is not perfection, it's not dominance, it's not being the loudest person in the room or the most unshakable or unteachable in the spotlight. It's the man who stands alone for what is right, even when it costs him everything. It's the woman who forgives what the world says is unforgivable. It's even the leader who kneels before they command. It's not found in applause, it's found in sacrifice. Look at historical figures such as Nelson.
I think that there's a lot of people that, you know, the idea of sacrifice, and the problem also is like the sacrifice stolen valor. It's like for these people, their idea of a sacrifice is like not going to prom. Right. This is the reason why they have like struggle in their life. And so they're thinking about this, and they're like 31 years old. They're thinking about prom. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, they're fucking loser.
You're still thinking about high school when you're 31? Man, your fucking life is out of order. If you're still crying about shit from when you were 18 that like really like has no value in your life today, you're fucking up, man. You're totally on the wrong track. You missed the boat. You missed the ship. You're not on the plane. You're not on the train. You're just staying in the same damn spot, being the same damn person. No growth.
Absolute fucking loser. What a bitch. And so anyway, very point. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Why exactly? Or like, you know, somebody didn't like you in high school or something like that. I do, and it sounds bad, but I do genuinely think that 95% of this is unresolved trauma from being a kid. And like, I would say like being 20 and under. This is where a lot of these people get their problems from.
Yeah, I mean, if someone doesn't like you, like as an adult, you're just like, well, move on. You don't like me for me. I don't have to, you know, try. I don't have to try and be your friend or make you like me. I'm not going to be a people pleaser. Why would I bend over backward to have someone as a friend who doesn't even like me or try and make them like me? I'd rather like me. I'd rather be happy with me. And if they don't like me, then, you know, as people's moms and dads used to say, if they don't like you for you, they're missing out.
Mandela, who grew up under the apartheid, in prison for 27 years, and instead of coming out bitter and vengeful, he led a nation towards healing and reconciliation. That's strength. Look at Corrie ten Boom, a woman who lost everything in the Holocaust, including her sister, and yet she chose to forgive the man who was responsible. That is strength. Look at Martin Luther King Jr., who faced death threats, violence, and prison, yet he met hatred with peace and injustice with love.
And none of the people today who try and use him as like a soapbox, like stand on his words, you know, aren't even following what he was putting out there with the peace and the peaceful process. Like the marches that he led, stuff like that, that is not how it is today. Almost every single march that I hear about today has some sort of violence towards another group. It's never completely peaceful, you know? But back then, he stood on fucking business. He meant it when he said, we're going to go with love, you know? Today, people have so much hate in their hearts at these protests. They have so much hate for the other side that they won't even listen to them and have a simple conversation. Some people do, not everyone. I don't want to just lump, you know, either side in with an all or nothing. I don't want to use an absolute because it isn't an absolute. There's always absolutists or people with, you know, isms out there, but there's other people, they're good people out there who will have honest conversations with somebody who has an opposing view. And at the end of that conversation, both people will come away with a different perspective. It may not change them right then in that moment, but the seed has been planted for them to think a little bit differently next time and do a little bit better next time.
Strength. And finally,
it's also like, I think that another big thing with strength too is the ability to affect change. Because like there's a lot of people that, you know, they try to do something, but it's about also having the power to make a change and the power to actually do something. And when you have the opportunity to do the right thing, that's it. So what if you have unresolved trauma? Are you able to write something good or are you doomed? I think that you are able to write something good, but I think that you need to do it with the conscious awareness that to make sure that you're not writing something that is trauma dumping effectively, or that is trying to like make up for something that you personally feel like you're lacking. I think you need that level of self-awareness, and the problem is that that level of self-awareness is also is almost perceived as being bad.
Find the growth in truth. You know, don't continue believing the
Jesus.
lie.
Whether you believe in him or not, there is no figure in history who better embodies strength
you can
through
grow from acknowledging
sacrifice.
your own truths.
He had power, authority, a following, and yet chose the path of suffering. He didn't destroy his enemies. He forgave them. He didn't demand loyalty.
I can't believe Judas did that shit, by the way. Like, I saw some post about this. Like, bro, Jesus is going out there doing miracles.
Yeah, then Jesus forgave him, man.
Like, I mean, you really gonna betray a wizard? How dumb, how fucking stupid do you have to be?
Betray
this
a
dude
wizard?
is a literal motherfucking wizard.
He did not.
And you're gonna try to roach out on him?
Wizard.
Really? Think about it.
Well, yeah, if you like put it in that context, you're like, well, this man was a wizard, and he does miracles, and then you sell him out. Who in their right mind is gonna sell out a guy who can do miracles? I mean, it's a good thing that Jesus was one of those people who turned the other cheek and would sacrifice for people, because if he truly was like a wizard, I mean, he could smite this dude down, but he wasn't that guy, you know.
Like, it's just, I mean, you think that's just a mistake.
He washed feet. He didn't save himself, he gave himself. And in doing so, redefined strength not as dominance, but as self-giving love. Real strength isn't about appearing invincible. It's about remaining faithful, honest, and loving, even when you feel broken. Especially when you feel broken. These people didn't become strong by demanding the world revolve around them. They became strong by laying something down. Their comfort, their ego, their vengeance, and their lives. For the sake of something or someone greater. So maybe it's time we relearn what strength...
It says MLK cheated on his wife. It's all nonsense. I think that a lot of people are flawed, and I think that it's really important to... And this is one thing, I'm actually not a big advocate of like looking at an individual and trying to look at people as role models. I think that you should look at attributes, actions, and behaviors as like models to like, you know, like build off of, rather than trying to like copy basically what somebody else is doing, because that's the big issue, right? It's the actions. And so, because like nobody's perfect, right? No human is going to like be able to live up to the standards of never making a mistake, never doing something wrong, etc. So the solution to that, in my opinion, is to simply not hold them to that regard. Don't open that door.
Yeah, and to be truly loving is to forgive at the end of the day. You know that humans are humans, and humans do some horrible, terrible, shitty things. But at the same time, like to be a better human, it is to love and to forgive people when they fall down. I mean, if you had a friend who had fallen, like whether it's into addiction or whether like, you know, they got into a drunk driving accident and ended someone's life, are you gonna hold them to like this expectation that you had? Oh, I never believed you would do something like that. Or can you have that kind of compassion and forgiveness? You know, I understand that's a tough one. The family of the person that was lost may never want to forgive them again. You know, I mean, it's a terrible situation, but I mean, I think through love and forgiveness, maybe that person could spend the rest of their life trying to make an amends for what they did. And you never know. You never know. By giving that person that chance, you never know what might come of it. You never know whose lives they may affect.
Strength actually is. It's not the power to dominate. It's the courage to endure, the humility to grow, the grace to forgive, the wisdom to wait, and the character to keep going, especially when no one is watching.
What does Bruce Lee say? Don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure the life you have.
Thank you guys for watching.
Role models are not allowed to do mistakes. I think that when role models make mistakes, people try to make excuses for the mistakes rather than being able to accept that people are imperfect. And I think that's the issue with role models, is that when a person tries to model their life after another person, and then that person, for some reason or another, doesn't live up to whatever the expectation is of them, then after that, there's like a degree of like kind of resentment, right, or frustration. And so that's it.
And that's because you had an
That's
expectation.
the problem. Yeah, exactly.
That you,
and I think that it leads people into that issue.
Resentment.
Video, and thank you so much to my Patreons for supporting me. I'm back on the ball with YouTube again, and I'm going to be producing a lot more videos a lot
Cool, this one
quicker
was good.
going
More
forward.
content.
This is just
liked
my
it.
perspective. It is
Nice.
a angle. It's not the whole picture of why I believe it
I
is
like
a
this
thing. But I
perspective.
genuinely think that there
I
is
feel
a
like
bit
he
of a
was
decline
right
in the
on
idea of
with most of his
strength at
points.
the moment. If you agree or disagree with me, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's keep it respectable again, and thank you guys so much for all the support, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, I totally agree with this, by the way. I completely agree with everything he's saying. And unreasonable expectations is good explaining shit. Have to chat's losing their mind because Jesus was mentioned. Well, Jesus is just simply an example, right? I mean, like...
Don't lose your mind because Jesus was mentioned. I mean, if you're going to lose your mind because, it's religious, well, that's you being bigoted against religion. If you don't look at it as a religion and just look at it like, well, this man, spoke of loving thy neighbor as thyself, or taking care of the next person. If you look at the character part of it, then he's just a man who tried to do the next right thing. And if you're stuck on the religion part because you have some trauma that makes you hate religion or hate God, well, that's something you got to deal with on your own. I'm sorry.
It's
Sorry for
nothing
you.
else really besides
I'm not
that.
sorry.
And also, I mean, really, you can look at 50 other examples that are kind of the same thing, and you're going to have the same point. I'll link you guys a video. Like, this is a Pata video. I remember I was watching his videos, like, pretty much like his first video he made, and I thought it was great. And so make sure to give him a sub. He's got 36,000 subscribers now. And so,
hell yeah.
really, really good videos. I think they're great.
Great video.
The most hated game dev.
Yeah, that was a good one. I liked that a lot. I think stoicism's great. I think having that courage from within and being honest with yourself, being honest with your faults, seeing your strengths, and knowing that these defects that you have may serve a purpose someday. Work on them. Try and grow from them. Don't hold any expectations towards other people. No expectations. Enjoy everything. That being said, this has been Tater. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.